guys, it's Kat and I'm back today for a review. I'm actually doing a review on products that I've had for like a year now. Why? I asked myself this, but then I'm like, okay, I've been picking one of these palettes up recently and I figured I'm going to probably talk about it in my favorites in February because it has been like the palette I've been reaching for to add a pop of color. And since I have had these for so long and I haven't spoken about them, it should be about time that I review it and do swatches, right? So today we're talking about two palettes by Zoeva. Like I said, I've had these for a long time. About a year ago, I did a review on this guy, which is the Nude Spectrum palette by Zoeva as well. I actually bought all of these at the same time. So when it came to reviewing them, I was more interested in this, firstly because I liked it the most out of all three, and also because at the time it was brand new. So this is what kind of took precedence for me and that's what I focused on. But I have had these for a while now and I've been meaning to talk about them. With these palettes though, one thing that's really hard about doing this review or mustering up the energy to do a review is the fact that I wasn't blown away by these, but at the same time I wasn't disappointed in them. So they just kind of hovered in the meh zone, and because of that I find it very hard to review things that are just like it's alright. I just find that people either want to hear you say, oh my god, you have to go get it, it's amazing, or people want to hear you say, no, don't waste your money, it's completely shit. So when things are just kind of falling in the middle area, it's harder to articulate what you like about them and what you don't like about them and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to attempt to do it today anyway. If you do want to see my review of the Nude Spectrum palette, it was from a year ago. It's up in the corner. I'll show you the palette though. So it is a similar sort of palette by Zoeva, but it's got 15 shades and these are nude kind of shades. So a lot of bronzes, a few mattes, mainly shimmers. And then these two palettes here are 10 pan palettes. So you can see there that it's 10 pans instead of 15, so you've like lost a row, and same as this one here. So there's the 10 pans there. Another thing that has stopped me wanting to do these reviews is that I bought all of these pretty damn cheap. I bought them originally on Beauty Bay when they were quite affordable. I think this was about $48. Beauty Bay no longer ships Zoeva to Australia. They have like stopped international shipping to Australia, so you can mainly get these from the Zoeva website, which I think shipping is quite expensive, or you can get them from the Sephora Australia website, which I'll link down below. Now this palette, like I said, I got it for about 48 bucks, I think. It is $75 on the Sephora website, which is really annoying. These I got for about, I think it was about 26 bucks each, something like that. They are now $38, I think, on the Sephora website. So they have gone up in price, which once again, since I'm not amazed by them, I find it like it's annoying that they were really well priced and they were like decent products for a decent price, and now they have gone up where it's got to that stage where you're like, I don't know. Anyway, we'll get there. Also, another thing that annoys me, I'm having a day, guys. I'm just having a day. My arm is itchy. I've got a tattoo. My arm is starting to itch. And we've had a successful video on beauty news and I'm just bombarded with constant like comments and it's just driving me insane. Anyway, so I'm pointing out the annoying things first and then we'll get into the good things. Another thing that annoys me about this, 38 bucks each for 10 pans, 75 for 15 pans. How does that make any sense, Sephora? How does that make any sense? Anyway. Okay, so I'm going to talk about each palette quickly, individually, and then I'm going to do swatches and tell you what I think overall. So this is the Croco blend. This is probably the most popular, well-known Zoeva palette. If you looked maybe at the end of 2015, so many beauty bloggers mentioned this in like their top palette of the year and all that kind of stuff, so I bought it. I wasn't as impressed. I think there was so much hype around it that I was just like, oh, it's going to be amazing, and it's all right, but I wasn't blown away. I am wearing some of these on my eyes today. I like the look, and this is what I've been reaching for to add a pop of color recently. So if I've been wearing like a bit of a cranberry eye, I've been going into this shade here, which is Warm Notes, and it's just a nice palette. The quality of these are great. Every single shade applies really smoothly, really buttery, and is quite nicely pigmented. They're not like pow color. So like, for example, this one, it's a nice color, but it also applies sort of muted. So you're not getting like a really intense red kind of cranberry look on the eye. You're getting more of a wearable look. So even though it might look quite intense in the pan, it is actually a lot more wearable. So this is the Cocoa Blend palette. It's the most well-known one. It's very, very pretty. It's got 1, 2, sort of 3 mattes. This one here applies like a matte, but it's got a bit of gold glitter in it, so that doesn't really translate on the eye. It should just be a flat matte, in my opinion, but it's not. So yeah, this is a nice palette. The reason why I didn't love it when I first got it was that I found that some of the shades were a little bit peculiar. So you do get a nice balance here. So you get the matte cream, you get some nice warm sort of matte transition colors, which I love, reach for often. You get some pops of color. This is like a really beautiful bronzy gold. You get that kind of pinky cranberry color and like a darker warm brown. This is a weird shimmery gray thing going on. I've got a bit of that on my eyes actually to deepen it up. You've got sort of like a cool toned dark purpley taupe for some reason. And then you have this weird color here that is sort of like a pinky champagne with a slight gold shift. It is weird. It doesn't really go with the other shades. So I find that this is a little bit of a disjointed palette, but at the same time you can get a variety of looks. It hits the notes that you need with the basic kind of colors to really help bring any look together. And then if you want to go warm, you can. If you want to go cool, you kind of can. So if you want to go dark, you can. If you want to go bright, sort of can. So this one is a nicely rounded palette. This is the one I've been reaching for. The quality is very nice. And some of the shades they've chosen is quite smart. Would I prefer to swap out some of these shades for other shades to make it a lot more kind of wearable and easier to reach for and create kind of simple looks? Yes, but the world isn't that easy. So that is the Cocoa Blend palette. That's what I've been reaching for a lot, especially that kind of cranberry color and like the warm kind of crease shades. And that is what I'm going to be probably mentioning in my February favorites. So because I'm reviewing that one, I figured I may as well talk about this one as well because I bought it at the same time. It is the Rose Golden palette. This one I'm not as like amazed by. And this is probably the one that's brought them both a little bit down for me. This one probably brought down my like excitement for these palettes because I loved this one, I liked this one, and this one was just like, what? So Rose Golden, you expect kind of rose goldy colors. Yes, good, very good. It is just a little bit bland. So I'm going to point out my favorite colors. I'm wearing some of them on my eyes today. This color here, Luster, is like the most perfect. If you've got quite fair skin, it is like, it's softer than a caramel brown and it is deeper than a cream. And often you get a caramel brown and a cream, similar to in the Cocoa Blend palette. But sometimes you want that shade that can just deepen up the crease a slight tint and also work really well at blending out a shade and transitioning a shade. This shade for me is that, and I reckon that one's probably the best shade out of the whole palette. I also love Copper is King. So on my eyes today, I'm wearing Copper is King on the inner part, and I'm wearing kind of that cranberry shade from the Cocoa Blend palette on the outer part. So I've kind of gone like a look using that. This color is really, really nice. Yeah, I just love this color because, so I'm wearing these two colors together pretty much, but it is like a bright orange, like a shimmery orange. It adds a bit of warmth. If you wanted to, you can literally just dust it all over the lid, put some mascara on, you're good to go. So I think that's a gorgeous color and it looks a lot brighter on the swatch than it does in the actual pan. So with this palette, what I don't love about it is that pretty much if you take away these, all of these sort of look the same. So you've got what looks like a rose gold. It's just like a rosy, yeah, just a pinky, champagne-y gold. You've got that Copper is King, which is gorgeous. You've got Shining Bright, which is sort of like a more mauvey version of this. They're very similar. Foil is more of a goldy sparkly version of this one. And then you have Just a Rose, which is very similar to Copper is King, but it's got a bit of a slight gold kind of shift to it instead of it just being copper. Then Golden Rule is a nice pretty color as well. It sort of reminds me of an old gold, kind of a yellow gold. I've got some of this on my like inner corner, so it's there. So it's sort of got that yellowy old gold, almost like greeny gold look, but it's a softer version. So you can use that for highlighting. It's quite pretty. It'd actually be nice as a face highlighter too. But if you were to just use this palette, they all kind of meld together into just a shimmery gold, rosy gold, So for me, I don't love them. I wish that there was just maybe two shades, and then you put a bit of like punchiness with some deeper shades, more matte shades, and something that can bring the look together a bit better. So yeah, this palette doesn't work for me. Also, they've kind of chucked in a dark shimmery chocolate brown, a dark slate grey matte. Why? I don't know. And then also like a blackened brown matte as well. And these don't work with those. So to me, it just is a really disjointed palette. It's same, what the fuck. Anyway, let's just go to swatches before I conclude what I think about this, because I think swatches need to be done. Okay, so when it comes to, hopefully you could see in the swatches that the shades are actually really nice. They're very buttery, they're very smooth. There's no one shade that's really crap. The mattes are nice, the shimmers are nice. They don't really pack a huge punch when it comes to like color and pigment. They are pigmented enough, but they're not super bold in color. So that like cranberry, even though it looks really nice, it is more of a toned down cranberry. It's not like a really vibrant cranberry. Same as the golds. They're really nice, they're really pigmented, but the colors just don't pack a punch, which is good for wearability, but for uniqueness, it's just a bit meh. So I like these. They work really well. They apply nicely. You can blend them out really well. Since they do have a little bit of a powdery texture to some of them, like they kick up a little bit of product, it means that you can blend it really nicely without it kind of tugging on the eye and skipping and causing a few issues. So I do really like the Zoeva quality. I think for the price, it's actually very good. And I have to keep telling myself, even though I bought it at a cheaper price than what you can get it today, the quality is still worth the money. So an example being, these palettes are $38 each. I'll link Sephora down below. $38, you get 10 shades and they contain 1.5 grams each. They're also free from parabens, mineral oils, fragrances, blah, 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 blah. And they've got vitamin E, they're made in Italy. So they're good quality shadows. There's no doubt about them. They're good quality shadows, and getting 1.5 grams of product in each of the pans is really, really great. An example, like a comparison being a MAC eyeshadow. So if you just get a basic MAC eyeshadow, which I'm struggling to open, come on. So a basic MAC eyeshadow, I think these retail for about, is it $36 each in Australia, I think? Anyway, it's close to that, 34, 36, and they're 1.5 grams of product. So in comparison, which one would you want? The answer should be this if you're a sensible person, because the quality is really good. MAC quality is just, you know, some are good, some are bad. Zoeva tend to be quite good across the board, and you do get a lot of product for the money you pay. So I do think in the scheme of things, Zoeva are some of my favorite like affordable eyeshadows. I think the quality is great, but the thing that just lets me down is the color choices in the palette. And that's why I keep going back to the nude spectrum. I feel like I can get more complete looks with this. You do have some pops of color that are fun. You do have some neutrals that are easy to use. You've got the good sort of transition shade, the cream matte, dark, you've got a taupe, those are matte, you've got a black, and then you have a variety of stuff to kind of mix in with it. So yeah, I think this one is better. It's not as good value for money as the 10 pan, but the 10 pans, I just wish the color choices were that little bit better, and then I would love it. So if they kind of replaced some of these boring ones here with a really dark, like a burnt red and like a beautiful, I don't know, something else. This is even like a really weak kind of highlight shade. If you like a pop of highlight, that is not going to give it to you. So I just wish they did something a little bit more. If they had like a really beautiful plum, like a matte shade, gorgeous. But as it is, I just don't like the color choices, which is a shame because the quality is very good for the price. But yeah, the biggest letdown is definitely this one. All I want to do out of this palette is pluck out Luster and pluck out Copper is King, put them in like one of these palettes, and yeah, they'd be so much better. So yeah, that's a really frustrating review because it's kind of like they were really good value for money and now they're reasonably good value for money. And you know, if you were to buy a 12 pan naked palette, you're paying like $80. So these are definitely good if you want something that's relatively affordable. So I think that these are sort of designed that in a way where you feel like you need to buy like 3 or 4 or 5 of them just to be able to get the eye looks that you want or the variety that you want, because you can't get a full eye look out of this one. It's just, unless you're the type of person that just likes a wash of color and some mascara, you actually can't build like a cohesive eye look out of this. To create this eye look today, I actually had to use both palettes, which is a shame, and that's what I find so frustrating about it. But I did pull this one out recently. I have been playing with it and I am very, very impressed with the quality. I just wish they didn't have this one, they didn't have this one, they didn't have those ones. They just did better things with the shades, and then I would be like singing its praises. And why the hell does this caramel color have to have sparkle in it? I don't know. I don't know. So that's a random review from me. You might go, Kat, you have lost the plot. And I'm going to say, yes, today I have lost the plot. I need to go get some jelly beans, calm the fuck down. But when it comes to these, I do like them. I do think that they have so much potential. I do think the price is relatively good. Used to be so much better. And they could do such great things with this. If they had a bit of balls to create something like the Modern Renaissance palette and put in like smarter color choices, then Zoeva would be unstoppable. But as it is, it's just a little bit meh meh, and unless you want to buy 10 palettes to get like a nice range of colors, because you can't really get enough from one palette, like I have to reach for both. And even then, I kind of want to reach for this one instead. So yeah, I don't love them, I don't hate them. If you are looking for a cheap, under $50 eyeshadow palette, try one of these. Just be careful though, that you'll probably have to dip into other palettes to create more like cohesive looks, which drives me a little bit insane, because what's the point of an eyeshadow palette if you have to reach for other ones? Anyway, I have lost the plot, so I'm going to get going. Hopefully that was somewhat enjoyable or educational. I'd love to know what you think of Zoeva palettes, because they are very popular and I understand why. The quality is great. I am looking forward to, they've got a matte, like a colourful palette that's coming out in this kind of range, that they're all like really beautiful, dark, colourful mattes. Looking forward to that because the quality is good. Can't go wrong. Just make sure you find a palette that you are happy with all the shades, and then you should love it. That's the thing. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time. I promise I haven't lost the plot and I should be a little bit more stable in my next video. Bye, guys.